In this lecture, we are exploring anchors in a little bit more detail. To play with anchors, we are going to build something like this. We are going to have a grid of elements, and some elements are going to be positioned in relation to the position of other elements. And now we're going to start a Qt Creator project and show you how you can do this using anchors. File, new project, Qt Quick Application. We call it Anchors Demo and save it in location on our drive. I actually want to use this as the default project location. Hit next. Choose the Qt version, the latest one you have installed, and choose our kit. We are going to change this title to Anchors Demo. We are going to start by putting a rectangle inside. This is the rectangle that is going to contain other rectangles. So we call it container rect ID. Its width is going to be 300. Height is going to be the same as width. And this is property binding in action here. The height depends on the width. We want it to have a border that is visible in black, and it should be centered in the parent. If you come here in the documentation and search for positioning with anchors, you're going to see the entry here. Click on it. And they say Qt Quick provides a way to lay out items using the concept of anchors. Each item can be thought of as having a set of 7 invisible anchor lines, and you can see them here. You can position items following these lines. For example, these two rectangles from left to right are aligned using this piece of code here. You define the first rectangle like this, and then you define rectangle 2, and then you define the left side of rectangle 2 to be anchored to the right side of rectangle 1. This is how you say what is happening here. Down here we have another slightly more interesting example. Rectangle 1 and rectangle 2 are positioned using this piece of code here. The left side of rectangle 2 is aligned to the right side of rectangle 1, and the top side of rectangle 2 is aligned to the bottom of rectangle 1. And this is how you say this. We are actually going to go back to Qt Creator and position our rectangles using this technique. Define your first rectangle. Remember, we want to position our 9 rectangles in a grid. This one is going to be top left rect ID. Its width is going to be 100. Its height is going to be the same as the width. It's going to have a color of magenta. We are going to copy this, paste it down here. This is going to be the top center. It's going to be yellow, green. Let's spell this correct. And we want to position it to the right of the top left rectangle. So we are going to take its left side and anchor it to the right side of the top left rectangle. We are going to say anchors left and set this to be the right side of the top left rectangle here. Let's run and see what we have so far. We have 2 rectangles. The left side of the second rectangle is aligned to the right side of the first one. I hope this makes sense. We are going to keep moving forward. We are going to copy this and define our third rectangle the same way. It's going to be top right. It's going to be Dodger blue. Why not? And it's going to be to the right of the top center rectangle. So we're going to replace this with top center rectangle. Run. We're going to have the third rectangle, positioned to the right of the second one. We are going to copy this paste it here. We are going to call this rectangle center left, something like this, and it needs to be to the bottom of the top left rectangle. So we are going to say anchors. We are going to anchor its top side to the bottom side of the top left rectangle. So anchors top, bottom. Okay, it's going to be to the bottom of the top left rectangle. What is going to be the color? Why not red? Let's run. The red rectangle is here. It is to the bottom of this one. So when you add your element and not give it a given position, it's going to be positioned in the top left corner of its parent rectangle. Let's show you what I mean. I'm going to add this rectangle here and not give it an anchor property. It is going to be to the top of the top left rectangle, basically at 0, 0 position. So you need to move it for it to be visible and not wrap around the other rectangle. And this is what we did here with this property. And if we run again, things are going to be normal. I want you to know this. We need to add a few other rectangles to complete our grid. We're going to copy this, paste it again here. Let's do center, center. Let's make it green. And we can choose to align it in position to the top center rectangle where we put it to the bottom of it, or to the right of this rectangle that we just defined here. It's going to work equally the same, effectively putting it in the middle of the grid. Okay, so let's try the first one. We're going to align its left side. Okay, it's going to be to the right of this rectangle here, but we also need to move it to the bottom. So to move it to the bottom, we have to align it in relation to any rectangle here on the top. For example, let's do it in relation to this top right rectangle here. So we're going to say anchors top right rectangle bottom. Let's run the application. And this is what we want. The green rectangle is in the middle. Let's copy this. Do center right. It's going to be blue. The left side of it is going to be to the right of the green rectangle. We can do that. Okay. Effectively putting it here on X coordinates. And we need to position it vertically too. So we can do the same thing we did here. You can do that. So we're going to say anchors top equals top right rectangle bottom. Let's copy this. Put this here. Okay, we have our blue rectangle. And obviously there are different ways you can do this. You can just look at the position of your anchor lines and decide how you want to position your elements in the grid. We are going to do the bottom line of our grid very quick. I am going to paste in the rectangle here and say bottom left rect ID. Okay, positioning is very easy as usual. We're going to put it to the bottom of the center rect ID. Let's do that. So we are going to say anchors right center to the left. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, its right side is going to be anchored to the left side of the green rectangle, putting it on this line here horizontally, and anchors top is going to be center rect ID bottom. We are going to give it a color of royal blue. And if you hover over this color, you're going to see what it looks like. Let's run the application. This is our rectangle. The bottom line of this grid is going to be all positioned in relation to the center rect ID. Let's see how we can do that. So bottom center. We are going to put it to the bottom of the center rect ID. This is not changing. but the left side of it is going to be anchored to the left side of center rect. So we are going to say anchors left, center rect ID left. What color do we put in here? Why not do yellow? Let's run. Yellow rectangle. We have one left. Copy this. Paste here. Say bottom right rect ID. Let's make this pink. The bottom side of it is going to be to the bottom of the center rect, but the left side of it is going to be aligned to the right side of the center rectangle. I don't know if this makes sense. Let's run to see that our grid is complete. Okay, and now hopefully you know how to use anchors to position your elements wherever you want to put it in the structure. Okay, you basically have these lines to anchor against, and if you need more examples of how you can do these things, you can come on these examples and try to run them.